everyone, welcome back. I might have put some footage in before this, I'm not sure, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update on my Terry Rowland inspired quilt that I was inspired by Kate from the last Homely House. I have been making blocks like they're going out of fashion. I don't know what's matter with me. They are so fast to sew up, and I am just absolutely loving every single one of them. They are so fun and so colourful. So I thought I would show you a few of the ones that I've done. So this one, I miraculously nearly almost got that centred out of a scrap, which was pretty cool. And I have just been working my way through them. I've been spraying them all with Acorn starch alternatives so that they're all nice and crisp, and trimming them all down with my 4.5 inch Tula ruler. Tula ruler, good name, isn't it? So yeah, I just thought I would just start up a few more with you this morning, have a little chat, let you know what's going on, and basically just have some fun playing with some more of these little quilt blocks. I have no idea at the moment as to where I'm going to go with this and how many I'm going to make. I would ideally like to make an absolutely enormous quilt, but I think I'm just going to keep making them until I get bored of making them, and then see how many I've got left, do some sort of layout with them and see how many there are. And how big the quilt is, and then work out where I need to be in terms of how many more I need to make, or whether I do need to make any more. But I mean, at the moment I'm having loads of fun putting them together, so I think I'm just going to keep on going. And there's always scraps in this room. So my thing is, at the moment, I've started this off with in the thought process that I'll use up all my Tudor scraps, but I'm now starting to wonder whether I should include some of my Alison Glass, Laurie Holt, Kay Fassett, and all of my other fabrics that are in the room in different scrap bins, because all of my Tudor scraps go into a scrap organisation system. That's what I like to call it. So I have different sized containers that anything that's under a fat quarter but bigger than sort of like a 7-inch block, a 7-inch square, go into one container, and then everything smaller than that goes into a box. And when that box gets full, I normally send it off to a friend of mine that makes quilts for different charities and stuff like that. So she quite often makes receiving blankets for neonatal units and different things like that. So she normally gets all of my scraps, which make the most colourful neonatal receiving blankets, and she has great fun doing it. And I like to be able to sort of, in my sense of a way of thinking about it, is I don't at the moment have time to be doing anything like that because I have so many other projects on the go. So I kind of feel quite good that it kind of gives back through donating to someone that is going to use it for a good purpose. Not to say that when I get some spare time that I won't start making some quilts for some other charities. I would love to do that. I would also like to potentially auction a quilt at some point and donate the proceeds to charity. We will see what happens, but until that time comes, when I know what I'm actually doing with my life and how much time I've got and where I can allocate free time, I thought I would just carry on making some more of these little scrappy blocks. So I've been making them on my industrial because it's so much quicker. I do need to reduce the stitch length, and it means that I can just power through and use the thread bunny instead of keep cutting thread, because this has got an insanely fast thread cutter on it, but it's when you're doing loads and loads of small seams, the thread cutter is quite loud, and it does kind of get to you a little bit after a while. Keep hearing it cut, slam the foot down. And I have found that I think it's actually quicker using a thread bunny than it is to use the thread cutter all the time. And the thing is as well, is if you use the thread cutter all the time, you're constantly having to go in and clean all the fluff and everything out, because then the thread cutter gets clogged. Because it is, my industrial gets a lot of use. It gets a proper workout every week, well, every day pretty much. And I'm trying to reduce the amount of times that I use the thread cutter, because it will eventually become blunt if I carry on using it, which I know I can get a replacement blade for it and all of that, but getting an industrial to somewhere that does a service is not as easy as taking a domestic machine in. I would end up having to book someone to come to the house and do it here, and quite frankly I don't have the patience for that at the moment. So yeah, I've chosen to start using a see, one block done, just needs pressing and squaring up. They're so fast. If you haven't ever thought about doing this and you've got a box of scraps languishing, or whatever the word is, languishing, then I would definitely recommend doing it, because it's great fun. And it's one of those things that you don't really have to think about too much. So you get the fun of sewing without the need to think too much. Which, I mean, do we not all just love not having to think too much? So yeah, the thing I like about these blocks, actually, one thing I did want to mention is that they use a really, really small amount of fabric. So if you've got stash fabrics that you've been holding on to for absolutely ages because you're too scared to use them, you can make these just literally by just trimming off a 2-inch strip off of the bowl, which, I mean, no one's going to miss 2 inches of fabric. And then you know that you've got at least one block. Well, you can probably get about 2 out of a 2-inch strip. You know that you've got a couple of blocks of that favourite fabric that you've been holding on to for absolutely ages, because you're not using it all up in one go. And you know that then when you look at that quilt, like this block I'll show you in a second, this is a fabric that I have got the tiniest amount of. But I did have a really, really tiny square offcut. And this was sent to me by the lovely Laura that lives in Anchorage in America, I believe it is. So it means that I get to use a little bit of the fabric, but I don't really use very much of it at all, which is kind of fun. So yeah, this is a fabric from Prince Charming. This was a Westminster fibre before it became fully fledged as Free Spirit fabrics. So that kind of goes to show how old this fabric is. And it is this sort of navy, dark, sort of steely blue kind of colour. And it is absolutely beautiful. It's got a little bit of untamed lanterns in the centre. But yeah, it means that from a 2-inch strip of fabric, I've got myself a block to go in my quilt. So I'm having fun about the fact that I'm using fabrics that I wouldn't normally use. And when I finish this quilt will stay with me and it will go on my bed. So it is going to need to end up being quite a big quilt, I would imagine. But it means that when I'm laying in bed and I can't sleep, which happens more nights than it doesn't, I'll be able to lay there and while I'm scrolling through Instagram or whatever, or doom scrolling at something, I'll be able to see little glints of all of my favourite fabrics, which would be quite fun. So yeah, I was on a live on Saturday with the lovely Donnell from Donnell's Stitchery, and I ended up sewing up, in an hour I ended up sewing up something like 28 of these blocks, and I wasn't really even paying attention to what I was doing because they're so simple. And the good thing is as well, is if you make them bigger than you end up intending them to be, you don't even have to be super accurate with what you're actually doing, because most of it's getting trimmed off anyway. So if they're a bit wonky, it kind of adds to the charm. So they are good fun. So I'm going to sew up a few more and I'll be back with you in a little while. So I thought, just quickly, while we're on the whole Tula scrap thing, I thought I would go through my scrap bin with you and show you how I store my scraps. So my scraps, most of my scraps go in a big container like this. Don't know why, for some reason it's got a piece of bag making foam in there, but that can come out later and I will pop that in my bag making foam scrap bag. So yeah, as I was saying, most of my scraps are this. I mean, this one's full width for fabric. So basically, if it's smaller than a fat quarter, it goes in here. So this, for instance, it's smaller than a fat quarter, but it's bigger than a 5-inch square. Although there is some random bits in here as well. But these are what I like to pull out and use to make these blocks, because I can get, like this one here is probably only about 6 inches wide, which means that I can get 3 2-inch cuts off here. One of them split to make the 2 pieces that go either side of the centre block. So that scrap there, I would probably be able to get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, maybe 3 blocks from. So yeah, but then this one here, see, this is quite long, so I'd probably be able to get, 2-inch long strips out of that, and then chop off about 2.5 inches off the bottom to get 2 of the little pieces that go either side of the square in the centre. So yeah, these are my scraps basically. I have a great big box of them. I have some scrap backing in here as well, because I do like to sometimes incorporate these into quilts, because at the end of the day it is still 100% cotton and it is still fabric, and it is Tula, and it does make more sense just to tie them in. But these are also really good for the back of face wipes and things like that, which, who doesn't love a face wipe? I've got hundreds of them, and I've actually worked out now that I've put my oh look, here's some 2-inch pieces that I was cutting up. I'll put them to one side because I will use those. I worked out the other day that when I'm making face wipes, well, with my face wipes that I've made, I've got probably about 30 of them that are on a rotation. I use them, throw them in the washing machine, and then they come round and whatnot. And what I worked out the other day is that when they are getting a little bit tatty and I don't want to use them on my face anymore, they're actually really, really good for cleaning your bathroom with. So I now put them on a rotation. So I have a set now that are for washing my face, and then I have a set that are for washing my bathroom. So yeah, before you throw away tatty reusable face wipes, use them for something else, repurpose them. They're really, really good as well. If you just dampen them a little bit, they're really, really good for like wiping over window ledges and shelving and things like that, because they collect the dust and it sticks to them because they're a little bit damp. And if you put a little bit of cleaning spray on them as well, even better. So yeah, that's my scrap bin. That's my handy tip on what to do with leftover face wipes. So I will catch up with you in a bit. So I've sewn up about another 10 blocks, which all need pressing and trimming down. And I think I'm going to carry on with some pattern writing for today, because I've got a pattern that needs to be submitted for a project that I'm working on to a deadline this week. I have got a little catch-up chat with 2 lovely ladies this afternoon, and I need to get some other jobs around the house done, really. So I am going to chase some orders, write a pattern, finish writing a pattern, test the pattern before it gets sent off, even though it's already tested again. It's tested first time, but I need to test it again just to make sure it all goes according to plan, which it should do. And then I will possibly work on some more of these later, but I will catch up with you really soon. I hope you're all well. I hope you've enjoyed sitting having a little chat with me this morning. I will see you all in the next vlog. Ciao for now.